Tai Lopez got busted for a $112 million Ponzi scheme. Who is Tai Lopez, you may ask? This guy.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. It's fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills. But you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things? Knowledge.
I would have never expected that from him. The guy selling the Lamborghini, the guy selling the books, the guy selling the courses, the guy selling knowledge. I guarantee you his investors now wish they had the knowledge they have now, knowing that he is a scammer, as if there were not signs before. Today, we're going to break down how you yourself can avoid the scam. So Tai Lopez, the here in my garage, the knowledge guy, just got hit with a massive SEC lawsuit for allegedly running a Ponzi scheme using the brands that he bought, like Radio Shack and Pier 1 Imports. According to the SEC, Tai and his partner raised over $112 million, promising high returns, all while their businesses were hemorrhaging cash and losses month after month. This Mashable article here talks about this. It says Radio Shack, Modelo's, Pier 1 Imports, Dress Barn, Linens and Things. These were all well-known brick and mortar retailers that were struggling, hitting hard times. So his company went and bought those retailers and were going to implement an e-commerce strategy. On the surface, that sounds like maybe a good thing. You can trade on the name of those assets and you can potentially have a lot of success with the business. But now he's being accused of that $112 million Ponzi scheme to defraud investors. So what are the details here? These distressed companies were raising funds and ultimately raised from hundreds of investors, many investing millions of dollars. They told him that the brands were on fire and had strong cash flows. Very clear now, they never turned a profit in a single month, right? So this was never true. This was always fake. This was always false. They also promised that they'd be invested in those specific firms. But it turns out that money went places that it wasn't supposed to go. It turns out that they made payments back and in turn were likely using new investors' funds to pay back the old investors, which is a clear Ponzi scheme thing. And then that Lopez and the other partner used at least $16 million for their own personal use. This is a hot mess. And you're probably asking, were the signs there? Well, the signs absolutely were there. If you go back to when he did his first ad, they were able to find rental advertisements on Zillow and other places showing the exact places that he had been. So it was clear that he was selling this picture of he owned all these things, but in reality, he was renting and using those things temporarily for the clout and then using that to turn and sell his products. So the signs were there, but who would fall for that, right? It's shocking. Again, these are people that are putting in hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars. How did they fall for a clear scam? These attributes are things that are common in people that fall for scams. They're high trust, overly optimistic. They have this FOMO, this fear of missing out. They're overconfident about the returns or whatever they're looking at. They have greed or desperation, so they're just really, really hungry for money. They have an authority bias, meaning they look up to these people, they see these people, and they see all these flashy things, and they say, I want that someday. So they put their faith in that without doing the research that they know they should do. They're stressed or distracted, meaning they don't spend the time they should spend doing the due diligence. They have financial pressures, whatever that may look like for them, whether that's low on cash, whether that means overextended, too much debt, business struggling. There's a lot of different ways that financial pressures can creep in to people that are seemingly well off. So, how do we avoid the scams? I have here 3 signs that something could be a scam, and we want to look for these common attributes. The first one is big promises and zero financials or zero details. We're told big numbers. We're told this great thing is possible. But in reality, we're let light on the details. We're not given financials. We're not given specifics. We're given partial information that sounds good, but it's leaving out core details. The way we get around this is we ask the right questions. We put pressure on them to answer those questions. And then we force them to flesh out, talk through the things that don't check out. Next, it's no credentials or not the right credentials. The COO that Tai Lopez had was a former teacher, a family member to Tai Lopez. They sold this person as having all those credentials. They sold the other partner as all the credentials. But when you look down beneath the surface, those credentials were not there. You got to do the due diligence with credentials. You got to, especially with large sums of money, seek out people that have relationships with them, not the person they connect you with, but the person that maybe you can see through social media or other channels has maybe done business with them, worked with them in the past. And then the third one, if you have high pressure tactics, often those high pressure tactics can be a signal that something is awry. So if someone is pushing with high pressure tactics, they're saying, we got to get your money by here. We got to do some weird financial arrangement, right? You've heard of those, send me money and I'll send this back. Those are almost always a scam. And so when we have those high pressure tactics, something that we're not familiar with, not aware of, not well versed in, we need to step back and pause and think, why could this truly be the case? Tai built their whole empire, the whole empire, off of perception. He rented mansions, rented Lambos, sold the thing on social media, and people that were especially vulnerable to that type of lifestyle were primed and ready to make this investment. They didn't have the expertise to do it. They didn't have the capital to do it. And then they, instead of admitting to the struggles, they pulled new funds, paid back old partners, and then they started pulling the money for themselves. We don't know all the details. We don't know what's true, what's not at this point. I'd say based off the track record, we can use this as a good case study for how to avoid scams. I want to be clear. No one is immune from falling for a scam. The moment that you think you are is the moment that you're most vulnerable. If you're a business owner, stay sharp, do your due diligence, and remember, the best investments are boring. That new flashy thing, that complex strategy is likely not all it's made out to be. The most boring investments are often the ones that get you the highest returns. We want to seek peace of mind, not the highest level of return. So the Lambos, the hype, it's probably not the move for you. Let's go for that boring thing. Let's go for the thing that is old faithful and index on peace of mind, on comfort, on being able to sleep well at night. Hopefully you found this helpful. I would love to hear stories of scams in the comments. So if you know someone or part of whatever, I'd love to hear that experience. What were the signs for you? What sticks out in hindsight? What are ways that you've avoided scams in the past? I'd love to use this comment section as a way to share to open the lines of communication, because that is the number one way that we can avoid scams, is seeing other examples of scams as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to do more of these reaction videos in the near future. So go ahead and like and subscribe to make sure that you do not miss those.